Hello everybody, Travis here for Tpull's Corner. We have a new deck for you. This is going to be part of the playlist decks that beat me actually. Although some of these cards are just things that I put in here. But overall, like maybe 5 or 6 of the cards in the deck are from something that somebody used against me and beat me within like 5 or 6 turns. And this one is sort of Artifact Tribal. But it's a unique one because we're using enchantments, right? Whenever a non-token artifact you control enters, that's when you create the token. When the token leaves the battlefield, 2 damage to any target. It's an artifact design deck that's powered mostly by an enchantment or 2. And they're already getting to dig their most desired cards off the top. And they've already got 3 colors. And they've already got a creature. Alright. Let's do this. Trigger. We get our first token. We get rid of them. And we also get out Treasure Map. So 2 tokens already. There's another one where we can spend later on. Hopefully it comes up. I only have 2 copies in the deck, but we can, for 2 mana, we could sacrifice one of these. But we also have Umbral Caller Zealot, and we can sacrifice these at any time when that's down. And what do we want to do against these people? It would have been nice to get a land. What if we just start destroying stuff? Another Dusk Rose. Alright, we'll take it. And we can also activate this and scry and keep. And that's enough. Now the key is we do need a sacrificial outlet, so we want to preserve the Zealot if we can. If that's at all within our control. And never mind. They still gave us artifacts though, so that works out great because we can just use this. We'll sacrifice this. We do have to worry about counter spells. I should mention the lawsuit against Wizards of the Coast has been dismissed without prejudice. So, yeah, that's fine. I couldn't have paid for that. Let's just go ahead and scry again. And I can afford that. I really want land. I hate missing all the land drops. Ooh, that was quick. Yeah, I guess we're doing this. Sacrifice another one of the tokens they gave me. And we've got a nice number of artifacts here. Kind of expected that. And still not getting land. Okay. So we'll fix it this way. There's the land. Alright, let's just use our treasure, pay for it. We'll get rid of everybody now. And they might have 3 copies of this. Auto pay. Sacrifice this. And we finally still managed to get rid of the Great Divide guy. So I'm going to talk more about the lawsuit after the deck tech. I didn't make an entire video about it because nobody in the comments wanted me to, and it's probably just as well. And I still don't have the right mana. Let's go ahead and surveil. I mean, the case got dismissed so quickly, I kind of hate to do this, but I really want land. Land. Thank you. Ooh, attacking the box. That's a good card. Look, they got just exactly what they wanted, didn't they? Sacrifice another creature or artifact. We sacrifice this. We get rid of the Voyager. We have used Scene of the Crime as an artifact land. Since it's an artifact, it triggers that. And then we'll just bring down Attack in the Box. And unless they want a chump block, we're finally going to get them under 20 health. I'll give you the short version now. I like that. The short version is that the lawsuit was a nothing burger, which I said at the very beginning, and never mind, we're done. That's a pretty good demonstration of how the deck works. My phone is popping off. I made the mistake of making a Facebook post before I came on to hit record, and people are responding to it. I wonder if I have 4 of those by now. Alright, let's go ahead and show you the deck. Tezzeret's Arsenal is what I called it. I did have like 1 or 2 copies of Tezzeret, Cruel Captain, and I ended up burning a few. I think I burned 2 rare or mythic rare wild cards and a couple of rares, and that was pretty much it. So here, weapons manufacturing. An enchantment for 2. When a non-token artifact you control enters, create a colorless artifact token named Munitions with this aspect. When this token leaves the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. So we ended up with a deck that's very cheap, it turns out. 2.1 average mana cost. We still kept 24 lands in there. But you see we have 22 artifacts. These are all non-token artifacts that will trigger weapons manufacturing. We have 2 copies of Legion Extruder. When this artifact enters, do 2 damage to any target. But for 2, you can also sacrifice another artifact, which we're going to sacrifice these tokens. And because we sacrificed it, we'll get a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature, as well as doing 2 damage by getting rid of the token artifact. So these are two separate expansions, I think. I always get confused because these were supposed to be originally part of the chase cards. Like when these were originally designed, they were going to be Aftermath decks, and then they're like, oh no, those don't sell well. So they punched them into the existing expansion. I don't remember if Legion Extruder was actually part of Edge of Eternities. I don't think it was. So I think these are different expansions. But we also have 4 copies of Duskrose Reliquary. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you sacrifice an artifact or creature. So for most of the time, we're looking at sacrificing this again and doing 2 damage to something. But we can sacrifice the Grim Bauble to it as well. So we've got a lot of fodder usually to sacrifice something to use the Duskrose Reliquary. If we do have weapons manufacturing out, just bringing out the Reliquary is going to give us another munitions token as well. We've got the Grim Bauble to handle all these 1/1s. You saw that we were up against a cheap white life deck there. So opponent gets -2/-2. If we're not sacrificing this for something else, we might sacrifice it to Surveil 2 if we want to get a particular spell or we want to dig for land. This card's been kind of fun for me, Devastating Onslaught. It's 2x and a red, so you create X tokens that are copies of target artifact or creature you control. The tokens gain haste, you have to sacrifice them. A lot of what I've been using it for is my other removal, Tithing Blade. When it enters, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. If they bring down extra creatures and my arsenal is somewhat dry, I would need 3 mana to make X = 1 and make 1 copy of the Tithing Blade. If I have 5 mana, then I can make 2 copies and so on. So, depending on how much energy I have, I could just make them sacrifice whatever creatures I need to. This is a fun card because you can craft it with one of your creatures later, and that creature could be on the battlefield or it could be in your graveyard, and it turns into another artifact, actually, consuming Sepulcher. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This has been essential sometimes in helping me win a battle. 1 removal in terms of exercise, exile target artifact, enchantment, or creature with power 4 or greater. 4 of the Umbral Caller Zealots, because I need some other way to sacrifice artifacts. And this is the ideal card if you're ever having any sack deck, because you don't have to tap it, and you don't have to pay any energy for it. It's a 0-cost activation, which, if you recall, Vivi was a problem because of that, right? In case we come up against Planeswalkers, 3 copies of Surginger the Meal Ender. Only costs 2 to get down. It's 3/1. If the opponent controls a Planeswalker, we have Trample, Hexproof, and Haste. Whenever another artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, it gets a +1/+1 counter, and you get to scry 1. Or if you haven't used it to attack it, you could tap it and gain life equal to its power by sacrificing it. There have been times where the opponent has tried to do some red damage on me, and I sacrifice another artifact and just put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it survives. Treasure Map is great. You pay 2 to put it down. It's an artifact, so it triggers weapons manufacturing. You spend 1 to scry 1, and then by the time you do that for 3 times, the land itself is transformed, and you get 3 treasure tokens. The treasure tokens can fix your mana base because we've got red, black, and white here, so we've got 3 colors. And if you're not drawing enough land, it can power up a board wipe if you need it. I got 2 Day of Judgments to take care of all of the massive numbers of cards that are coming out that are just really cheap. There's a number of cards that provide a never-ending value where it just creates an extra token creature every turn, and that can spiral out of control much faster than single-point removal. So I tried this without the board wipes originally. I always try and see if I can do that. Wasn't having much luck. Got rid of 1 Tezzeret and put in the board wipes. So Tezzeret Cruel Captain only costs 3. Whenever an artifact you control enters, he automatically gets another loyalty counter. For 0, you can untap a target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature like Surginger, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. Losing 3 loyalty, you can search your library for an artifact card with mana value 1 or less, so we can get a Reliquary or a Grim Bauble as needed, and that goes right into our hand. And for 7, you get an emblem. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put 3 +1/+1 counters on a target artifact you control, of which we should have plenty, or at least 1. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature, so you get a 3/3 creature to attack. This one was not part of the deck as it beat me, but I put it in. Bertram Greywater. This is from Thunder Junction. Legendary Vampire 3/4. Whenever 1 or more tokens you control enter, create a black vampire rogue creature with lifelink. And for 2, you can sacrifice another creature or artifact, plus you get to draw a card. And another one I added in from out of nowhere. Hey Bay, Spirit of Balance. 3/3 Legendary Bear Spirit. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. If you do, it gets 2 counters. And when it leaves the battlefield, counters get to go on target creature you control. We've got Adagio, Windswept Bastion. If we can station it up to 12, then we spend 4 mana and we can create a token that's a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, except it's legendary. We've got 2 Restless Fortresses that have come in handy from time to time. Whenever it attacks, defending player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And we have 1 Restless Vents, also turns into a 2/3 creature with Menace. We got 4 of the Nomad Outposts to fix our land. We got 1 Demolition Field to take out their special lands. And we got 3 Scene of the Crime so we can count as artifacts and make some triggers again. Plus, for 2, we could sacrifice the land and draw a card later if we want to. That's the deck. Tezzeret's Arsenal, very, very cheap deck. It's got just those 2 board wipes, but it's got a lot of very cheap costing removal cards that simultaneously act as triggers for our main enchantment. What are the problems with this deck? If the mana base is not favorable on the draw, they could give you a bunch of red cards and not give you any red lands, that kind of thing. That's happened to me. I think it's okay to put a tap land down first. We've got removal if we need it. And they're kind of, they're taking their time. Let's go ahead and put out something for them to kill. Make them happy. I kind of expected that. I gotta admit, I did kind of expect that. I don't have enough black mana, and I need a plains. Okay, so we put out a blocker. Hopefully they don't have 2 removal cards. There's one. It didn't attack? Weird. Alright, let's do this. We can always banish it with the reliquary. We've got time. Okay, see how you are. Okay, let's do this. Aha! And then we sacrifice Grim Bauble and get rid of one of them that way. Yeah, I guess we'll put that in. So we can tap an untapped creature for mana of any color. Oh, a board wipe already.
My purpose is clear. Rule the air.
Even the smallest trinket has its use.
Kind of didn't want to do that, but I think we really need to get rid of both slashers.
This technology has advanced, but
The problem is my opponent has 5 cards. And a lot of removal.
quite a moment for you, hero.
And I'm already out of ammo, and they can make that a 3/3. I'm kind of alright with that because they tapped out, right? We can do this. I really need to start drawing some artifacts, though. There's a demon. That is an artifact. Oh, you know what? I can sacrifice the land, though, right?
A new power
here.
rises in this system.
We go get another reliquary.
This will suffice for now.
We sacrifice the land for it, rather than the other stuff we have. Gets rid of a 6/6
My
anyway.
network is already vast.
Kind of saw that coming. But they're really tapping out for that, and I still have my land. I guess they thought the Planeswalker was very deadly.
This is only
It's
a
hard to
temporary
criticize them
halt
for
in
that.
progress.
Seriously, Arena? I should still be able to have this creature survive. Oh, you know what? It does! And I still did some damage. A -3/-3, okay. Ouch! That card is a problem. It's in... No! Arena! That is not cool. That's 8 lands. 10 if you count those 2. I've drawn more lands than spells. Get rid of that land at least. And they don't have a demon. can block me, but they can't kill me. What else you got? Anything other than land, Arena. They exiled my graveyard. That does not help them. Alright, 2 wins. I guess we'll say we like that. I didn't like drawing that much land in a row. Okay, let me talk about this a little bit about this lawsuit before I forget. The lawsuit was dismissed without prejudice, which means they could bring it back, but I called it a nothing burger at the very beginning. I was very disappointed in YouTube because there were too many people that were happy that Wizards of the Coast was being sued, and they didn't read the actual lawsuit. And I'm going to throw shade at a particular comic or Magic historian that doesn't know its history, because he was talking about this parachute strategy. So I went and read the lawsuit, and they got the parachute strategy all wrong. So I'm not going to go through all of the lawsuit, because that would be like an hour or 2 hours. But I am, after this match, I'm going to talk a little bit about where the parachute strategy came from and the history behind it, and why the lawsuit actually gets it wrong. Because they try and make it seem like it's this sinister thing, and it's a regular business practice, it turns out. That other companies actually do it as well, but it was probably this guy's idea just within the company. But let's go ahead and put out weapons manufacturing first, so we can get credit for all the other subsequent artifacts we're going to put out. We expect the first couple of creatures to be destroyed pretty easily between white and black. Although, if we put this out. Let me put this out. And I sacrifice my bauble. We get Sir Ginger popped up already. We get to see that we're going to get our land, which we want. We get another token, and we get to banish endurance, so it doesn't come back on the field. And we won't sacrifice this. Oops. Never mind, I did. I pressed the wrong button. Well, 6 points of damage, and Sir Ginger gets another counter. Let's see if he survives. Putting another creature there. Another bauble takes care of the engine rat. Put down the land before I forget. Use the reliquary, sacrifice one of these. Sir Ginger gets a counter. We get rid of Necro Regent, and our opponent gives up, and that's 3 wins in a row. And let me talk about this parachute strategy, okay? The parachute strategy, as they try to say it in the lawsuit, they say that Bill Rose, the senior vice president for Magic, came up with this Project Parachute, the parachute strategy. And they got the year wrong. I went to Veteran Beast Rider. Okay. They said the company began to overprint Magic cards in 2018, and they're implying that Bill Rose came up with Project Parachute in 2018. He actually came up with this probably somewhere around 2015 or earlier. And so they say, in order to account for shortfalls in other elements of the company's business, new Magic sets would thus be parachuted in to provide additional revenue. And then they say, notably in 2022, such parachute Magic sets accounted for 46% of all Magic releases. Absolutely not true. Former employee reported most parachute sets were master sets, which consisted of reprinted cards and featured low production costs. Part of that is true. Most of the parachute strategies involve reprinted cards, but that's for a very specific, different reason. Now, the reason I say that they got parachute wrong is parachute was not a business secret, okay? We've known about parachute all the time. This is why I get irritated with like the Magic historian and the others who are reading off of this lawsuit and just reading it without any extra knowledge, because Magic's been around 30 years and it's not like you can't find this stuff, okay? So I found it really easy because I listened to the podcast from Mark Rosewater, who's the lead designer of Magic the Gathering, It's MTG Drive to Work. And in number 715, he's talking about the unsanctioned. It's one of the unsets. And he talks about how it came to be. And what happened was Bill Rose, it's the appropriate person named in the lawsuit, the vice president, he gave Gavin Verhey an assignment. And he said, I want you to make a product. And they ended up codenaming it Parachute. And the idea was to make a product that was evergreen, meaning you could put it out whenever you wanted it to. And so it was a special emergency reserve kind of thing. Rosewater says that we wanted something in our back pocket if we never needed to have an extra set out for budgetary things or something. We just had something that was already done. And so the idea was you'd go make the set. It would be evergreen. It could go out whenever. Whenever you need it, you pull the ripcord on the Parachute. And so the challenge is that you have to make something that can really live anywhere, because it's really easy to do things with reprints. It's a 30-year game. There's thousands of cards. Having something that's mostly reprints is a very good strategy because you've got new people coming in that would love to fill in holes in their collection of old stuff, and they need that chance. They need those reprints in order to get those. Otherwise, they're going to pay exorbitant prices on the back market for singles that have never been reprinted, right? But you don't want to get, if you put valued reprints in the product and you don't know when the product's coming out, it could cause complications because they look at reprints in all of their different products. So Gavin came to Mark and he said, hey, you know what? The last unset Unstable, it sold really well. We have never reprinted silver border cards. And so they were thinking, if you want something that doesn't affect anything, it doesn't connect to the tournament play because none of the silver border sets are tournament legal. So there's a disconnect there, and that means that you can't sort of throw it out wherever you want. And so they liked that idea, and they set about doing it. And they put it together, and there was like 74 reprints. They wanted 15 new cards. They ended up with 16 new cards. They did full art lands that they had squirrels in them, so they were basically new art because the squirrels were hidden in them, and that kind of thing. And they went off and made the set. Now, what the thing that happened with it after they greenlit it, they liked the product a lot, so they didn't actually keep it for an emergency reserve. When it was done, they just pulled the ripcord and sort of put it out there just because they're like, oh, this is great, we're going to do this. And it just became basically, instead of being a reserve emergency product, it just became another product that they plopped out as soon as they could. But here's the problem with the way the lawsuit tries to portray it, is they try and put it out that they were doing stuff in 2018 and stuff like that, right? The timeline was Unstable came out in 2017 and was a pretty big hit. Unsanctioned was the first part of Project Parachute. It came out in 2020. Okay? So it came out years later than they say these Parachute things were happening. So Parachute is not related to the Master Sets in any way, shape, or form. Okay? And remember that when Mark Rosewater created this podcast, about the time Unsanctioned was released, which was in, I want to say, February or maybe March of 2020. So well before this lawsuit came out. He wasn't trying to hide anything. He's just making his normal podcast that he always makes. He has no reason to lie in any of these. He's just relating to you because Mark Rosewater loves the unsets. He's heavily involved in them from the beginning of every set. Sometimes he's the only one involved from the beginning to the end. And he gets excited about unsets. So when he talks about it, he's talking a mile a minute, and you can tell that he gets excited about this type of thing. Okay? But it was supposed to be a reserve set. They were supposed to keep it an emergency, throw it out when it was needed. And they just made it and they put it out. Now, the key thing to know is it took about 2.5 years for them to produce it. So what the lawsuit would have you believe is that Magic the Gathering, the people at Wizards of the Coast, were making these Magic products maybe in the course of 3 to 6 months and just dumping them on the market. Okay? The truth of the matter is, Bill Rose did have a project. He did call it Project Parachute. It was a normal business practice to have something in emergency reserve if you needed it. And their emergency one that they wanted to be ready anywhere, it took them 2.5 years to put it together. So Wizards of the Coast does not tend to do things quickly. This is part of why they've been successful. And this goes back to the foundations of the company. The reason that they do better than most of the other card sets, most of the other collectible card trading games, is because they can take their time. That time allows them to make a superior product. Most other card sets, or card games, you know, you could have anywhere between 2 weeks to 3 months to put something together, and you're supposed to have it out the door. That's where a lot of the game design was back in the day when they were starting. And now they plan out between 7 to 10 years. And it takes multiple years to put together one expansion set. These people take their time. They're not just pumping and dumping like the lawsuit said. So that was just one example as we go into our fourth match here on this artifact set. We won't hold up the gameplay anymore. But I just sort of wanted to get that out without being distracted and have a whole bunch of ums and uhs as I concentrated on both the game and the story. But this is the deal. It's not... Project Parachute was not anything sinister. It wasn't part of Magic's plan, Wizards' plan to dump product onto the market. But they ended up getting so excited about the first product that they made that they released it early. And it did well. It sold well. People got excited about it too. It was popular. So yeah, the lawsuit is basically a smoke show. It was already dismissed. It could come back, but I don't expect it to. That's indestructible. And we didn't get the right color of mana. If they have a deal damage card, I could get in trouble. They're trying to pop up the ooze. If they pop it up and I can't do well... Oh shoot, it's already past Grim Bauble. Everything's past Grim Bauble. I think I waited too long. Magic the Gathering does not like me now. We'll do what we can. But our Grim Baubles really aren't going to work. That's even the wrong color of mana. And this is kind of how they beat you. Not only am I put up against Landfall deck, but they didn't give me the right color energy, as you can see. But they are spending a lot of time giving me land. Seriously? Alright, we're going to have to do it this way.
My purpose is clear. Rule the...
Just what I needed.
Two points to Bill. I guess we'll keep the Umbral. We banish the ooze. And here's where we see if they have a protective spell, and they did.
Bow to your...
Mana still obeys me here.
We attack here. We sacrifice this. Since they used a protective spell on ooze, which I have suspected, that's why we did 2 damage to Bill, so we can kill Bill. And now they might block with the ooze, but nothing dies. I thought he was going to make a creature. That was not a creature. He should go after the Planeswalker. That's fine. The problem is this has vigilance, right?
I have bigger schemes to tend to.
Tap an untapped creature. I guess it doesn't really matter right now. We'll do this. Auto pay. Tap that creature. Okay, I think that's all we can do. They got out just the right kind of thing that gave this vigilance, and now how do we get rid of it? We're going to let that through. Bingo. Okay. Pay 1. We'll tap that. We'll get rid of one ooze. We need them not to have another royal treatment is the problem. Seriously, Arena? I was so careful the first time.
My empire will span the stars.
We go get a Dusk Rose Reliquary.
Every piece grants
And we
me
can no longer...
power.
I needed to do the manual tapping. The auto tapper destroyed me. And that gave him an extra turn to do all of that. Which they would have been able to afford that anyway. I just would have gotten rid of the ooze was all. Okay, so if they made a mistake at all, we blocked that. We blocked that. Sacrifice that. Let's do 2 damage to that puppy. Duskro's Reliquary, that's nice. I have that right there. Can we draw it though? I can get rid of this. We're going to pay the ward costs.
My will is my own. I expect success.
We're taking another one.
Even these strange metals
We're playing
answer
it.
to me.
Auto pay. Tap that. Sacrifice an artifact or creature. And we sacrifice this. We get rid of one of those. And then we sacrifice this. Now that makes a 12-12. They can't quite get past this. So we've got breathing room, we're not dead yet. I feel like another Sir Ginger's Nut. That's a legendary, right? I really need to get rid of that. Are they gonna... Oh, they're gonna fight? Shoot. That presents a problem. Do I have a way? No. I don't have a way to destroy that now. I have to get rid of that way. No, I'm gonna have to chump block with Hebe. I think they got me. And I didn't get black mana the entire time. I have 4 of the tri-lands. And I've got lots of black. And I couldn't get it done. They got that Gruff Triplets at just the perfect time. They used a lot of good creatures. I like their deck. But you saw most of what we were having problems is actually problems just casting black spells. So it was just as much a problem for us as the fact that they had good draws on their deck. Let's see if we can draw some black mana for a change. We did pretty good the first three matches. I'm always mentioning that probably the biggest problem in my deck building skills is trying to build a good mana base. And I'm always up for good suggestions if you've got a card, the land that you don't see in the mix that maybe would fix the problem that I'm having. Let's go ahead and bring out weapons manufacturing now. Is this going to be mono black? They can do any color. There's blue already. And they throw away land. And they got a lot of flashback stuff. That card's a problem. Land, I'll take it. I think we're good there. I'll wait to scry with the treasure map. I think I have enough time. So I get my land first. We're not going to rely on the auto tapper here. Although it's possible I had enough white that it wouldn't have made a difference.
My purpose is clear. Rule the
get the relic
edge.
right?
Even the smallest trinket has its use.
Let's do it differently. Let me go get my treasures first. There. We can chump block to save the planeswalker if I want to. I needed to sacrifice something. I wasn't willing to sacrifice anything. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll take one more turn. I'm gonna make a deck with this one soon. I think it's okay to block there, because we're gonna use our stuff on Ultimecia. What if we just do destroy all creatures? And then we scan. Another weapons manufacturing. Yeah, we'll take it. Doesn't do them any good to put anything on anybody here. They just have another one, okay? Okay, I think we're set in a good place now. Look at that. Embrace Oblivion and a Dream Thief. Okay. Okay, we'll bring out the weapons manufacturing. We will scry. Using Extruder is perfect. 3 tokens, 3 counters on Tezzeret.
All my will is my own.
Sacrifice 1 treasure. Get rid of the second copy of Ultimecia. Another loyalty counter for Tezzeret. And another.
Soon
and another.
You, my network, I am in
Life
charge
is good.
here.
See, this doesn't really do much. And then I think that's all we're gonna do.
Me.
Gross. Return target non-land permanent. Okay. Discard a card. Shoot. I think we're discarding the Planeswalker. They made out like a bandit with that card. Alright, this is where things get fun. 1, 2... I can only do 2 of those? No, I can do 3 with the treasure. I just need to wait for the computer not to freeze up. 1, 2, 3. We're going to copy the munitions. They're going to go away. They're going to do damage. And hopefully they can't do another crime right away. That one's good. That's good. That's good. It's all good. They tapped out. We've got Ultimecia again. And they throw away the board wipe. Get rid of one creature. Now we get rid of Ultimecia. Sacrifice. Oh, and they don't even hang around for it. We got rid of the 3rd copy of their legendary creature. They already went through half their deck. It felt like we were just hanging on, just sort of equalizing the battlefield each turn. If we started flooding out with land at any point, that would have been a problem. If anyone does have any questions about the lawsuit, about Project Parachute, about any of it, I've been listening to just about all of Mark Rosewater's podcasts, so I'm heavily steeped in the history of Magic at this point in time. But I think it's mostly going to be a dead issue. Facing a lot of black today. It's just a gingerbread. Don't kill her. I do need at least 4 land to make things work. Didn't get what I wanted, and our mana base is messed up. There's no red. And here's something that can generate tokens, which is not good for us. So we got some problems going on here. Let's get rid of this here. And then get rid of this to get rid of this. Another card involving drawing and discarding. They're just able to sort through so much of their deck to get to the cards that they really want. These type of decks are very challenging. Did that wrong. Should have put out Tezzeret first.
Defying me will be your last act.
They could easily have removal that takes care of planeswalkers. Tezzeret is technically, unless you have the rest of your board set up, he's one of the least threatening planeswalkers. If there's no artifact creature, he can't really, create things against it. You need to get up to his emblem before you can really do a lot of serious damage. That was a mistake. You could flash that in at any point. I'm just gonna go get one of these.
Just what I needed.
Sacrifice the Grim Bauble. And we don't need to worry about it coming back.
My will is my own.
And we get a creature out. And Tezzeret gets another counter from that creature.
I'm in charge here.
The deck works really well together. All the pieces really do play well. I just need to be able... Yeah, they killed the creature. That's the wrong color mana. I could put this down. Alright. It's better than doing nothing, I guess. Oh, I wasn't going to do anything anyway, so that's fine. That didn't really achieve much. If they have removal, they can kill my planeswalker and get rid of my creature. And everything that I've been waiting for, all because for some reason Arena won't let me have a red mana. I'm going to let him kill the planeswalker. I need to keep Hebe. I need to be able to tap an untapped creature to get the red mana source.
Justin?
One loss doesn't alter my plan.
Your secrets didn't stay hidden for long.
And now I have the urgent case of I need to get rid of a planeswalker first. Never mind. They had everything they needed. Never had a chance. Yet again, the only reason we're losing, I can't get one red land. And we even have ways to get the red mana, but the opponent's killing every creature every time. And I don't know why the system is freezing up again. It worked perfectly yesterday. Today's the day I record. Seriously, Arena? Arena's just mocking with me now.
Never underestimate my skills.
I don't know if it's worth hanging out for this anymore. We're so far behind. Arena is pranking me. I'm going to keep this in. I'm not going to quit early. We're just going to let them win. Because Arena won't let us do anything else. And they say that, all your matches are random. Arena doesn't rig anything. We won 4 matches and lost 1. Now, Arena doesn't give me red mana. I've still got a way to generate red mana if they don't kill things. Here, we can finally do one. When it's probably too late. And it gives me more of the same card I can't normally cast. All of this happens when I'm nearly dead as it is. Now I've got 2 cards that I still can't cast. And notice they put me up against one of what arguably a card that should have been banned as well. So it wasn't enough that they mana starved me in a unique way. They also put me up against one of the most overpowered cards in the game right now. I'm sorry, 2 of the most overpowered cards in the game right now. And now they give me a tap land. Arena, you're disgusting. When they were talking about banning Vivi, those 2 were 2 of the cards that were most talked about that should also be banned at the time. I'm going to have a video about that coming up not too far from now. But yeah, when you win too much, Arena, sometimes land starves you. Sometimes they put you up against the overpowered cards. In my case, they do both at the exact same time. And it happens way too often for me to consider it to be a coincidence. Now you notice they're making up for it. Now, I have all my colors already in the next match. Yet another coincidence. So disgusting. Can't even talk anymore. Kill my creature, I dare you. I want a creature in my graveyard right now. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Reveal it, put it in your hand. If not, it goes in the graveyard. Okay. They got so much land. Should I? Why let them have anything good at this point? Oh. Of course, Sheltered by Ghosts. If you're not playing Kato and the creature that comes back is an enchantment, it's going to be that. Let's do 11 points of damage, shall we? Let's do Day Judgment, shall we? Let's do 2 damage to any target, shall we? That's what happens when you give me red mana. 5 and 2. Sorry, opponent. It's not their fault. We'll do one more. It's not your fault or what Arena does to me. But Arena does that to me all the time. And they say it's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence if I'm 80% winning on my decks and then you do it. And that's when it happens. And then you give me everything I need the next match or two to make up for it. They kind of slowed down real quick, didn't they? We set up our board state. We've got 1 enchantment and 1 artifact. We'll see if they have any way to get rid of those. They're looking. Do you understand the strategy that we are going to use? Here comes Bill. I need an untapped land. There goes the enchantment. So look at that. For only 1 energy, they got rid of one of the biggest things. And that gives us tap land, which is not what we needed. And if they activate this, there's going to be ward. And now which one do I get rid of? I guess I'm getting rid of Mossborn Hydra. Ouch.
You're inferior in every possible way. Every piece grants me power.
We sacrifice the land. We get rid of their 14/14 Trampler.
Mana still obeys me here.
There is no system I can't improve.
Now it has ward. We sacrifice this artifact. And now we have to chump block because they're going after the Planeswalker, and we need the Planeswalker to get rid of Bill. We use up our Planeswalker. We go get another Reliquary.
Just what I needed.
We use up our creature to get rid of Bill. Do they have... They do. Arena? You did it to me again. Look at that. It had exactly what they needed. Only what they could use. Every answer. Plus all the land they wanted when they needed it. What a coincidence. Alright, one more turn. We really need a Duskro's Reliquary. That was not a Duskro's Reliquary. Nope. Yeah, they had the royal treatment when they needed it. Exactly when they needed it. When there was nothing else. So I guess that counts as landfall beating me again, really. And they only needed 3 creatures to do that. We know that. We've demonstrated landfall decks before. Very recently, in fact. And we completely thrashed everybody. But this won't be landfall. This will be a bunch of cheap 1/1s. Hold it. I can't really sit and let them pummel on me. I could wait until I had my board wipe, but that could take too long. Just make them get rid of the other Gorehound. They got to go forth. They haven't missed a land drop. They've got removal. I go get my white, if they let me. They got something they can do. And we give them something for them to kill. Sometimes this particular deck, never mind. I was going to say, sometimes they have so many of the cheap creatures, they don't have other stuff ready. Let's do another one of these. And why not? See if we can overload them. Maybe they don't have two pieces of removal at the same time after using one. This one costs them life points as well. The trick is if they try and kill Ginger, we could just sacrifice it to Zealot. So they should destroy Zealot first. Still losing life. Let's put out Baron. Now we pulled ahead. And they're using mono black, so, I mean, okay. We can't gain life. But they can still lose life. And they're tapped out. So this is going to be 9 points. They're down to 4. I don't see how they can survive. Yeah, you're still dead. Okay, we've got 5 cards. They're tapped out. Nice try by No Sky. I wouldn't have thought of pairing up Grievous Wound with Doomsday Excruciator at the same time. Oh, well. Okay, so our win ratio is much closer to 50-50 by now. But you can see a lot of that was problems. And I don't know if it just means I need to take one more swamp and make it into a dual land so I can have one more source of red, and maybe that'll fix it. Because I've had the other problem where they give me all black spells and they don't give me enough black. So I kind of like having one Fabled Passage in there to go get the small number of planes that I have, so I can pay the double white for Day of Judgment, that kind of thing, in case they're withholding my Nomad Outpass for me. It's very strange because normally we get these Nomad Outpass a lot, right? We have a lot of specialty lands. The Nomad Outpost, you're usually getting one of those in your opening hand, and that happens sometimes for me, but at a reduced frequency with this particular deck, which has been kind of setting off the conspiracy theory signals in my brain again, but I have no proof for that. That's just anecdotal information. In the meantime, this was probably the combination that beat me was Weapons Manufacturing and Legion Extruder, and let's see if I can find the other cards that for sure were part of the deck. No, that's not it. Well, maybe. No, there's another version of this my search is pulling up. Oh, here we go. This is the version that I want. Okay, so we didn't get to use Adagia that much, but that can really be, if you can station that up, you get it out and you station it up, that can be a nice little, a way to upset the balance if you're kind of neutral. But the cards that were in the deck that beat me were Weapons Manufacturing, Grim Bauble, the Duskrose Reliquary, Tithing Blade, and Sir Ginger, and then Tezzeret. So I added the Treasure Map, I added the Devastating Onslaught, I added Hebe, the Baron, and I added, did I add Umbral? No, Umbral was in there. And then I added Exercise, I added Attack in the Box, and I added the Day of Judgments. So, you know, most of the deck is still the bones of what beat me, and then I kind of customized the rest of what I didn't see of their deck because they beat me so fast I didn't get to see all their cards. But I put in what I like in terms of taking care of the rest of the deck. And I felt I wanted to get a few more cards in there to balance out the percentage, because white was in a definite minority when I started. So, but they had Duskrose Reliquary. So I looked for the 2 Day of Judgments and the Baron and the Exercise and the Hebe. And that sort of filled out and got you a little bit more of an equal balance of the colors than what we had originally started. I think a lot of the other versions of this will probably have 4 copies of Legion Extruder. And I think I only had 2, and I wasn't willing to burn more Mythic Rares. So, again, I'm a free-to-play player, so you can still make these reasonably good decks, and they won't necessarily be optimized even, but they'll be good enough to still win more than 50% of your battles, that kind of thing. So, as always, I'm open to feedback, so leave a comment. We always ask you to like and subscribe, and we'll have something new for you different next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.